Nestled in the rolling hills about 3 miles east of downtown Oceanside rests the neighborhood of Henny Hills Estates. Built on land once owned by 20th century Olympic figure skating champion and movie star Sonja Henie, who, while never having lived in Oceanside, owned approximately 1,600 acres situated between Oceanside Boulevard on the north, Highway 78 on the south, El Camino Real on the west, and extending just past College Boulevard on the east. Over the years, the Hennies either sold off or donated the land to varied interests, including Tri-City Hospital and Miracosta College.
Oceanside affords its local residents and...
Begun in the 1950s by Sonja's brother Leif Henie as an upscale collection of custom homes on lots of several acres, Henny Hills was envisioned as a southern extension of Bel Air, the exclusive LA neighborhood where the Hennies lived. Henny Hills today has 491 homes throughout several developments, mostly built in the 1970s and 80s. Wrapping around the El Camino Country Club, the neighborhood is characterized by wide streets lined with mature trees framing custom and semi-custom homes. In spite of its idyllic setting, however, Henny Hills had anything but a smooth start. Mary Steiger, whose husband John was the agent of record for the neighborhood, sat down with us to talk about the early days.
This was way out in the country. From this hill, you couldn't see a house in any direction. Highway 78 was there, but it was a little two-lane highway. El Camino wasn't there. It was paved up to the cemetery. A cemetery was there. Oceanside Boulevard wasn't cut through. It was a little street called Short Street, and it stopped long before it got to what El Camino is now.
Sadly, John passed away in December 2008, but the legacy of the man who helped establish Henny Hills is evident when one drives through the community.
We came out here when they had built their first model home, and it was a lovely, rambling, ranch-style home. And I remember I sat in the garage there and held open house. But I think I was about 24 years old and waited. The wind blew out here, and I'd wait for a car to pull up and buy it. It was $29,500. And you could buy a house in South Oceanside for $5,000 or $6,000. Or you could have bought a house on the beach with 90 feet of frontage probably for $30,000, $35,000. So this was incredible that someone would come out this far and be willing to invest that kind of money and be out here alone. We had no bus service, no school bus service, no postal service, no telephone service. So we waited a very long time to sell that house, and finally someone came in, an orthopedic surgeon from Philadelphia.
We met up with Resident and Homeowners Association President Keith Haas to assess Henny Hills today.
And this was really the subdivision built in the whole United States at one time because of the big lots and because of the views of the ocean and the quality of life and because of the El Camino Country Club and golf and tennis. And so it was billed as one of the top places to come by. And you could get that dream home for $70,000.
While dream homes for $70,000 in Southern California are a thing of the past, dream homes themselves are not. As we walked through the neighborhood, it was obvious that this wasn't just any ordinary collection of custom homes. While subdividing the lots to build more homes is not allowed, many of the original custom homes have been remodeled and expanded and display a wide range of styles and materials. On our visit, Keith introduced us to Altana and John Peach, who own one of the more modern and creative homes in the neighborhood.
We were looking at houses way down below us, and all of a sudden we looked up and saw this house and went, oh, we'd love to see that one. We enjoy being so close to the beach. It's just easy to get anywhere you want. So we can go to the opera in San Diego, or we can go to the opera in LA, or we just live a very happy life.
Maybe not so surprisingly, given its namesake, Henny Hills has always attracted colorful characters. Among the more colorful, Richard Elmore, a former Hollywood stuntman and recent guest on KOCT's Living Legacies program, and whose first film, coincidentally, was with Sonja Henie. Sadly, Richard Elmore passed away at the age of 95 just a week before the taping of this segment. So his son Greg spoke with us about his family's life in Henny Hills.
They used to come down to just play golf on their vacations. They enjoyed the area immensely, and when my dad turned 65 and retired, they decided to move down here, and they bought this house here.
Greg bought his parents' home for himself and his family over a decade ago, and built this granny flat on the premises. Unfortunately, Greg's mother passed away a few months before its completion, but his father lived there until his recent passing.
The weather is always beautiful here. And we get a gorgeous breeze and sunsets with the ocean view that we've enjoyed for a long time.
A lot of the people that have moved in here, even in the 70s, are still here. We do have some of the top citizens of Oceanside live in our community. We do have guests that come from cities from the south. And when they come here, they say, wow, we didn't know Oceanside had such beautiful homes and neighborhoods. So I like to show off our neighborhood to our folks from the south. We love our neighborhood. You talk to anybody, we all love where we're at.
Loma Alta may be one of Oceanside's largest neighborhoods, surrounding the popular Buddy Todd Park, but it's also one of the city's hidden gems. We dropped by to discover Loma Alta's long history, peaceful lifestyle, and unique homes.
When we moved out here, there was no Oceanside Boulevard, and this Hoover Street wasn't paved, and East Street wasn't paved. There were 3 old adobes, 2 blocks up, and the house on the corner of East and Hoover Street was here in our house, and the Woodards, and that's all the houses that were there. So we've grown up with this, and it feels like we're pioneers, I think.
My parents came from Detroit, Michigan, and we came in a trailer that my father had built. And we lived down at Oceanside on the beach for 6 months, right there by the beach, and I walked to Oceanside High School. And then Christmas of 1942, they bought this house.
This house was built in, from what I understand, 1929, and there's about 4 homes that are of the same style, and they were considered vacation homes for doctors and lawyers and whatever from the LA area. Approximately 1970, moved here from the front gate area, and I've been adding on to the house ever since. Started out with a kitchen immediately, and then I added a guest house and a garage probably 20 years ago. And then in the last 6 years, I've added on the major part of the house here. And it's more of an art project for me than something to do, basically.
Since the first of Loma Alta's homes were built in the 20s, the number continued to grow until the new community came together to form the Loma Alta Neighborhood Association.
Originally, the Loma Alta Neighborhood Association was called the Loma Alta Club. It started in 1949, and it was started by some local residents from Hoover Street, and it grew for quite a while until about 1953. They were actually given a clubhouse and property by some of the local landowners, and they built a clubhouse.
It was really neat, and we used to have potlucks, we used to get together, and everything was fine. But then, you know, everything was expensive, and you had taxes to pay, and nobody had any money, and you couldn't rent it because the neighbors didn't like any noise or anything like that. And then new people moved in, and the old people moved out. And so eventually, there was the women of Loma Alta. They kind of took it over.
The women of the Loma Alta took it into kind of a charitable direction. The clubhouse, it lost its initial purpose. So pretty soon it became basically a meeting hall or a rental hall. Well, that did no longer really fit within the parameters of a single-family neighborhood, and it was sold and became a residence, and that's what it is today.
With the loss of a clubhouse, the association only lasted through 1963, until it was brought back in 2004. Now more than ever, Loma Alta is recognized as a historic neighborhood with close to 2,000 homes and 8,000 residents.
As the newcomers have come in, it behooves us to be neighborly. So when the new people move in, I take them cookies and introduce myself. And so it's a really friendly neighborhood. I think if you talk to other people that haven't lived here this long, that would be their impression, that we're really friendly.
I like the sense of place that it has. I like the fact that as a community we've come together and rebranded as Loma Alta. So I have a lot of pride in the neighborhood, and I think most people that live here do. I like the fact that You know, there's some great views from all over the place. I like being able to come up here with my kids and my grandkids and playing in Buddy Todd Park. You know, I like the neighbors. I really like the sense of community and the neighbors and the people that live here.
The area has a very low crime rate, and just what we've learned since then are real nice. You know, the people are really nice, and everybody knows each other, and everybody looks after each other, and I think that's something that's very important, particularly if you're looking for a place to raise your family.
Whether it's Loma Alta's unique flavor of homes, breathtaking views, or welcoming residents, there's no denying that it's a neighborhood in Oceanside that's the perfect place to be.
I'd like to dedicate this to my father, the visionary. And one of the things that he kept pounding in my head as a mantra was, look as far down the road as you can. And that's what he did. It became his legacy at Jeffries Ranch, looking down the road to a community that is now home to, say, 25% of the original owners that purchased there 32 years ago. And it just kind of became a dream come true, not only for him, but for them, because it's a wonderful community. It has a lot of theme, and it's important to Oceanside.
Tim Jeffries is referring to his father, Dr. C.W. Jeffries, the founder of the Jeffries Ranch community in Oceanside. After driving past the for sale sign near Bonsall, Dr. Jeffries put an offer on the lot and purchased the first 110 acres. 6 months later, 167 more acres, establishing the beginning to the Jeffries Ranch community. Located 7 miles from the Oceanside Harbor and nestled in the outskirts of the city, Jeffries Ranch is made up of close to 2,000 homes, most of which are on half-acre properties. Dr. Jeffries had a vision to create a wholesome neighborhood with an equestrian twist that strayed away from a conventional neighborhood with tiny yards and HOA fees, which is what ultimately made this neighborhood appealing to longtime residents and friends Jeff Masterson and Dr. John Coleman.
When we bought here, we wanted to have a house where we didn't look out our window into our neighbor's window. We wanted to be far enough away that we had a little bit of privacy, but we also wanted the benefits of a neighborhood where the kids could have friends and ride bicycles, and Jeffries Ranch pretty much filled the bill. It was still semi-rural, and like I say, we've been here 27 years. Our kids have all grown up here, and it's been a wonderful place to raise kids.
We moved here 20 years ago, and for the same reason. We were looking for a quiet neighborhood. We liked the idea of having horses, but still wanted to be part of a neighborhood.
Over 75 homes in the Jeffries Ranch community brought out some of their old treasures to take part in this neighborhood garage sale, making it one example of the types of events this neighborhood participates in together. Mindy Landry has been a resident since 1984 and organized the garage sale for the neighborhood.
I've worked on it since January. I've passed out flyers to 1,000 homes 4 times. This community is a community that comes together, and they're a very solid community that wants things to happen. They're beyond just this community. What I have is some fundraisers going on for breast cancer, for schools. So what I'm realizing is this community of Jeffries Ranch goes way beyond. It goes way beyond Oceanside.
This tight-knit community also thrives on maintaining tradition, with the annual Jeffries Ranch Christmas Parade, organized by resident buddies Jeff Masterson and Dr. John Coleman.
The boat parade started about 17 years ago. We saw a similar one in Orange County, so can't take full credit for it, but it was a boats on trailers parade, and we both had boats on trailers and figured it was a great opportunity. And so we decorated them up, put some generators and lights on it, and threw the kids all in there, and had a great time. And it started out with about 5 to 7 boats, and now we're up to about 25 to 30 boats every year. But as we mentioned earlier, we have horse carts, we have motorcycles, we have old cars, we have, I mean, it's open to pretty much anything. You'd mentioned the toy drive we do.
Yeah, we've filled up entire trailers full of toys each Christmas now. So, every street, that's one of the things they do is while we're driving by and they're waving, they're coming out to the boats and handing us toys.
Jeffries Ranch residents take the idea of a neighborhood to a new level, from simply a place of residence to the setting of a community.
The personality of my father did show through, and he was a really friendly, affable fellow. He was funny. He lived in Jeffries Ranch for several years himself. The people in Jeffries Ranch are friendly, and it is a tight community, and part of that reason is because a lot of them are original owners, but also Jeffries Ranch attracts a kind of an unusual crowd. There are people that don't want cookie-cutter homes.
We take care of each other. You know, when I come home at night, I take a deep breath and say, wow, I'm going to drop my anchor tonight and rest. I'm safe. And it's just a great place to live. Very eclectic and very unique and different because of that. And that's one of the things I love about it.
If you come out here any morning, there'll be people walking all over the neighborhood. We get up every morning, and there's a group of about 6 of us, and we start at 7 o'clock and take a 4-mile loop up in the hills and back down again. And a number of people are up even earlier than that, walking. And it really makes for a lot of good neighborhood rapport when you see each other outside and you do things with each other. It's a very supportive neighborhood. Good neighbors.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And if they're not good, we make them good.
We're out here exploring Oceana today. It's a community in Oceanside that helps seniors maintain active and positive lifestyles. It's got a golf course, a swimming pool, a spa, and countless activities. Let's go see what's happening. Oceana, more formally known as the Oceanside Community Association, opened in 1964 and is located just off El Camino Real. It has a total of 932 homes and a population of 1,250 residents.
The houses started then being occupied many different models from 1960s on, and we also had a golf course that we started at that time, and Jack Benny was the one that cut the ribbon for the golf course. And then we started with having a lot of interesting activities. And since everybody moving in at the same time, it was very cohesive.
We chose this as a retirement area because of the climate, but we were in for some very pleasant surprises. The activities for older people, retired people here from age 55 up, and we have a population of about 1,300 people living in 932 homes, and the average age runs from 55 to 102. We have 5 people that are over 100, so we always brag that the climate here is good, but also the living.
We came in Oceana in 1987. We liked the atmosphere of it. It was attractive and appeared very friendly, which we found that it is friendly.
I made a deal with the fellow who was selling the house that he would sell as is, and I would then do my own decorating. So slowly over the years, I've done what I like rather than have to put up with somebody else's arrangement.
I came down to the clubhouse to see what activities they had and what they had to offer. And they had a sewing room that had 3 sewing machines, cutting tables, and I had taken a course in drafting for myself because I had a hard time getting clothes to fit me.
Through Bella's love for sewing, Oceana began having annual fashion shows, which then led to the creation of the resale shop Sharonware.
Sharonware is a very interesting resale shop. It was developed by residents here a number of years ago because it was a way to help people clear out what they had gotten, to get new things inexpensively. It also turned out to be a social opportunity. Our clothing is inexpensive, our furniture is inexpensive, we have no overhead, and all of our money goes into providing the resources for activities that aren't necessary to a community. We have a very active lapidary group, and we have a wood shop, ceramics, we have language groups.
The activity, I participate in the majority of the things that go on here in the clubhouse, but I also work on a couple committees like the Secretarial Committee and the Archives Committee.
I like to dance, and when I came, the monthly dance had just started, so I was going continually, started to help out, and then when the fellow who was running it, another Joe, retired, he couldn't go on, somebody had to pick it up, so I did, and we're continuing the dance.
We have our own dedicated TV station. It's a KOCT cable station, channel 12, 867, and we show slideshow activities, all the different activities, and it's the communication tools too, if we need to repair a street or a fire hydrant or something.
We just offer a lot here, a lot of community, a lot of opportunity to meet other people, or you can be as isolated as you want to be. It's just a neat place.
What makes Oceana such a great place to be is that regardless of what activity, what hobby you have, whether it's golf or wood making, whether you like to sew quilts, whether you like to shop, all the facilities are here within Oceana, and you've got a terrific bunch of people. Everyone has a story to tell, and if you're a social individual, you'll hear them all.
It looks like Oceana will be a neighborhood in Oceanside that will continue to be a great place for seniors to not only settle down, but to stay active. And it fits, well, everyone.
Perched high upon a hilltop in Oceanside, just a few miles from the Pacific Ocean, sits the community of Ocean Hills. Exclusively for persons 55 years of age and above, the community borders the Calaveras Preserve and is anchored by the 30,000 square foot Ocean Hills Country Club, which sits at the center of a series of Mediterranean-inspired villages with names such as Portofino and Mykonos, sporting white stucco architecture and red tile roofs, reminiscent of homes found throughout the Mediterranean. Begun in 1984, and with the final phase completed in 1998, the neighborhood now has a total of 1,632 homes, a combination of attached and detached structures. Laced throughout the villages are green belts and an 18-hole executive golf course. The massive clubhouse sports all the outdoor amenities you could want. A swimming pool and spa, lighted tennis courts, bocce and shuffleboard courts, and indoors the clubhouse is complete with meeting rooms for the clubs, a weight room, a craft room, and a large auditorium, which on this day was holding dance lessons. There's also a library, distinguished by its warm wood shelves and adorned with art, which also can be found throughout the grounds of the community. Even with the abundant amenities, the one thing everyone told us on our visit is that what makes this neighborhood a great place to live is the people.
We live as a family. If you move in here, you're a member of the family. And what makes this place unique, I think, is there's so much talent that has moved in, and these people are willing to share that talent with the rest of us.
And it's a very upbeat feeling in here. As you grow older, a lot of people become very depressed and so forth. But here, you go out, there's somebody to talk with, there's something to do, there's card games down here, they play bridge and hand and foot, canasta, anything.
Homeowners Association President Ellen Bauer.
Many of us have moved out of places where we've been for many, many years. We've left our friends behind. Some of us move here because we have some family members nearby, but we still need new friends. And through our many, many activities, our clubhouse, we meet people very quickly who are on the same wavelength. We have 44 different social clubs. And if someone comes up with another idea, we just make another one.
To friends on the outside, we'll say, it's like living on a cruise ship. Everybody's here for a good time.
Well, we could almost look at the calendar or judge what day it is by what activity we do. You know, it's Monday we'll do this, and Tuesday it's badminton, and Wednesday it might be golf, Thursday pickleball. So,
resting atop 350 panoramic view acres, each of the 8 villages is governed by its own incorporated homeowners association, with common areas governed by a separate master community association.
Our clubhouse and all the amenities are part of the lifestyle here at Ocean Hills. The assessments that people are charged are made up of 2 factors. One is the assessment that is charged by the individual village in which they live, and the other one is that from the Master Association. So it covers everything here. So when you buy into Ocean Hills Country Club, you buy into a lifestyle.
Woven throughout the villages is the 2,138 square yard, 18-hole executive golf course.
The golf course is very tricky. It's a par 3 executive course, which is very short. It's about half the size of a normal golf course. But the greens are very undulating. They're not flat, and it makes it a real challenge to shoot par here. It really does. Par is 55 as opposed to 72 on a regular course.
One activity gaining in popularity, not just in Ocean Hills, but throughout the United States, is bocce.
But we are getting more and more bocce players now. If you are not here by 8 o'clock, you might not be able to play. I used to play in high school in Switzerland, and when we moved here, I was all excited seeing a bocce court again. We have a big bocce club, we have tournaments. We just finished one. I only made 4th place.
You always hear music. There was always a band practicing in the music room. We have tap dance classes going on throughout the week, ballroom dance, and we have a theater arts club. And we've all been in some of the shows and feel like we are not movie stars, but actually we just have an opportunity to do the things we never could do before because it was not available. But that is all available here.
It's a very comfortable place. The couples are very friendly. They include the single people. It's not like you feel ostracized and you're just an individual and you can't join in things. And so I have a little anecdote. I had some surgery a couple of years ago and I couldn't get around for a couple of weeks. And a group of my girlfriends got together a schedule, and every other day they brought me dinner and they went shopping for me. And they just did that to take care of me because I don't have any family here. I don't have any, family to take care of me. So it was just, we are one big family, and it's just fabulous.
I know there's no such thing as like a fountain of youth, but living here, it's as close as you're going to get. You'll see people running around here doing activities, and you think maybe they're 65 or 70, and then you find they're 85. It's unbelievable.
I've been here 10 years, and I haven't had a bad day in those 10 years. And I think most of the people that live here, and the newcomers, will say the same thing.
It's just wonderful to have all of the different friends that we've made here.
Yeah, that's the good thing about here. The different, people, different tastes, and somehow we fit in each group really nicely. Very nicely. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to live it to believe it, I think.